And at that event, one of the speakers, Heather Blankenship, she basically put me on the spot. She brought me on stage and she's like, okay, well, you know, why is it that you want to be a speaker? She opened up the floor for a Q&A and I was like, how do I get up there and talk
Yeah.
about the stage?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, why do you want to, be on
Yeah.
here? And I'm like, well, I like to motivate people. That's
Right.
my thing. She started asking me a whole bunch of questions like, okay, well, how often do you post? Why aren't you posting? Like, do you commit to posting? And I'm like, okay. So I committed to posting one piece of content per day. And at that event, like, basically, I want to say at least half the audience followed me on the spot. And I was like, oh, shoot, now I really have to do this. I
Yeah.
got to commit. They're going to keep me accountable.
Welcome to the Limitless CEO. Today we have Levi, a great entrepreneur. He runs Valore Studios and Raspberry Lemonade. But anyways, I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Thank you so much for being here.
Bro, thank you. It's literally, I was telling you off air just a second ago, a huge honor being here.
Thank you.
It's the first podcast that I've been on when it comes to business. I had
Right.
been on a few before, but I'm super excited to chop it up with you today. Thank you for having us in your studio and for shouting out Valore Studios.
No. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's kind of hard to get around LA. There's so much traffic,
Always, but that's just LA,
and yeah, no. Thank you so much. But anyway, so just tell us a little bit of what you do.
Yeah, of course. So we're in video production,
Right.
right? We help entrepreneurs, business owners. Right now, we've noticed that we fall into the niche of real estate investors for whatever reason. It just kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get into the backstory of that, but mostly help them with putting high quality production videos for
Yeah.
their social media or any other needs that they may have.
Wow. And how did you get into all of this? Like, tell me a little bit more of how is your growing up like? How do you get into the studio and then the real estate? How is everything all connected?
Oh
Because there's
man,
so much into it, right?
yeah. How much time do we have, man?
I think we can probably do like 50 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe an hour.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
try. We'll try to keep it a little short to not bore the listeners or viewers. But
Yeah.
so I was born and raised here in LA. Well,
Okay.
actually, no, born technically in OC
Yeah.
for like a minute, and then my parents moved us to LA County. But growing up, I like to think that I had a pretty nice childhood.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember lacking, food or a roof over my head, anything like that. My parents, always took care of that.
Right.
And I was happy with just having a soccer ball, man.
Yeah.
Like if I had a soccer ball and somewhere to kick it around and, you know, two trash cans that I could put together to make a goalpost, like I was happy. I was a
Yeah.
happy child. Um, then once I got into my teen years, I started to pick up creative writing. I did poetry for a while. Um, I actually wrote 3 books of poetry at one point too, and
Oh, that's
the
amazing.
yeah, thank you, man. The creative side I think has always been there.
Yeah.
I want to say I want to blame my dad, for me being musically inclined too.
Yeah.
So I picked up guitar, I picked up drums. I've always liked the performing arts.
Yeah.
Anytime I can listen to a live band, even if I've never heard of them, even if maybe their style of music isn't exactly my taste, but the
Yeah.
fact that they're playing live for whatever reason, I'm drawn to that.
It runs in your blood.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. You're talented.
Yeah, no, I mean, no. There's a lot of people out there way more talented than I am, but I definitely enjoy, when I can partake in those things. Once I got a little older, I did like folklorico, Mexican traditional dancing, and yeah, just I feel the most myself when I can do something that people watch and make them feel something.
Right.
Yeah, and also conversation.
Yeah.
I have no problem making conversation with people. My dad, when I was little, he said, "Ay, pareces perico," always talking.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to say I want to also kind of shout them out, my parents, for nurturing that side of me
Yeah.
because now going into business, this is my first major business venture. I had tried some other things in the past, and I don't know, maybe we could get into that too.
Right.
But now everything that I've learned or everything that I've experienced, I could see how it's helped me at least get to where I'm at right now. I'm not doing anything too crazy yet, but especially this year, it's the first time that I feel like, okay, this is gonna work, and we're gonna make it happen one way or another. It's got a good trajectory. Talking about specifically, videos, because
Yeah,
you asked, like, how do we get into that? Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, to this day, I'll never own or say that I'm a very techie person,
right.
but it kind of just happened because a little over a year ago now, I went to a Ryan Pineda event, which
Yeah,
at the time was called Future Flipper. Um, and at that event, one of the speakers, Heather Blankenship,
yeah.
shout out to Heather. Thank you. Like, I will always be grateful to her. She basically put me on the spot. She brought me on stage and she's like, okay, well, why is it that you want to be a speaker? She opened up the floor for a Q&A and I was like, how do I get up there? Like, talk
Yeah,
about the stage.
yeah,
And she was like, well, why do you want to, be on here?
yeah.
And I'm like, well, I like to motivate people. That's
Right.
my thing. Anywhere I go, whenever I meet people, I want to know what they're about and what their dreams are. And if I could find a way to maybe connect them to someone, or in the very least, tell them like you could do this,
Yeah.
then I've done my job. And so at that event, she started asking me a whole bunch of questions like, okay, well, how often do you post? Why aren't you posting? Like, do you commit to posting? And I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So I committed to posting one piece of content per day. And at that event, like, basically, I want to say at least half the audience followed me on the spot. And I was like, oh, shoot, now I really have to do this. I got
Yeah.
to commit. They're going to keep me accountable. Aunque no quiera. And so that experience of posting one piece of content per day, I think I did that easily for like 6 months straight, without missing a day. And, people supporting me and, like, leaving nice comments and all that. Of course, there's always some haters,
Yeah, that's always haters, yeah.
sliding into the DMs sometimes, but for the most part, it was a really supportive environment, and that really motivated me to do more. From there, that's where Raspberry Lemonade came to be,
Yeah.
and I mean, I guess you could say the rest is history. That's how we snowballed into what is now Valore Studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you heard about Ryan Pineda? I'm
Oh,
just curious
yeah,
because I also went to that event, WildCon, or maybe that was more recently than before.
yeah,
I'm just curious how you met Ryan, how you heard
yeah.
about him.
So let me see. I want to say it had to have been during pandemic. It was like 2020, 2021, something like that. And I remember it vaguely because I know for a fact that I was married already. We got married
Yeah,
in August 2020, and right before that, my best man, my best friend, he put me on to reading Rich Dad Poor Dad,
yeah, it's a
which
good book.
is
Yeah,
amazing. But like, I think that's where everyone starts, or a lot of people start,
most
right?
of the people go through that book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's just for me that book just opened up my perspective and my mind on, like, oh wow, like I don't have to keep doing the same thing that everyone's doing. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
yeah,
Like, we're not here to say like you're doing a 9 to 5, like, huh, you're not, you're not one of us or whatever. No, it's like we all got to do what we got to do to take care of our families. But the fact that if you could take something that's maybe a little less traditional route
yeah.
that you just thrive in naturally, and you're able to make some income out of that to take care of your family, like, why not do that, right?
I agree 100%. Let me ask you this.
Yeah,
Sorry to cut you off, but do you went to high school
I
or
did.
you finished high school
I
and
did.
you go to college?
I
Because you're speaking
for a
about like the
second,
non-traditional, you know?
right?
So I was just curious. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I know your story, dude, is a
yeah,
crazy one, man. But yeah, I did finish high school. I did a little bit of college,
right,
but if I'm being honest, at the time, I wish would have been a little more honest with myself. I never saw myself going to college.
right.
Like, I enjoyed high school because I grew up with a lot of the people that I graduated from, and it was a good
Yeah,
time. I learned stuff. I've always been very curious, so I was happy to learn random things like
yeah,
about biology and things like that. But I didn't enjoy having to be tested on stuff, like having to remember things that I'd had, like I didn't care about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So since I didn't really know that there was careers in media or, and again, maybe even at the time, I wasn't even thinking about that.
right,
I was just like, okay, well, if I'm not gonna go to college, like I don't know what I wanted, what career I want. I'm not gonna waste my time or my money,
right,
and it wouldn't even be my money, right? Because my parents were always supportive in that sense. But I didn't want to waste anyone's time or money if I didn't know what wanted to do yet.
right.
So then I went into the workforce, right? But to kind of answer your question of like how I heard of Ryan Pineda, like
Yeah.
promise all that context was it was for a reason.
Yeah.
After reading that book, I got married, and within like that year, I slowly started to have these certain entrepreneurs, business owners pop up on my Instagram feed.
Right.
And I think I want to say it was technically actually Brian DeVilla,
Okay.
which was the first person that I saw, and he
Yeah.
posted something of a free real estate event
Mhm.
in Norco. Now,
Okay.
mind you, I'm based out near Cerritos. So from Cerritos to Norco is not too bad, but it's like a 45-minute drive on a good
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I want to do
Yeah.
that?
It's a little bit too
It's a
far.
little far, gas and all that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, well, Robert Kiyosaki talked about real estate, and
Yeah.
this is a free event. Like
Yeah.
in my head, it just made sense to just let's go see what I can learn, right?
Right.
And so I did. I went. I met some amazing people that till this day, we're still in the same. We're still in contact,
Yeah.
and that was kind of like the pivotal moment of.
Is that how you got into real
That's
estate?
how I got into kind of learning about real estate
Yeah.
because I've done. I haven't acquired any properties myself, but I've done a
Yeah.
couple like gap deals through the community.
Yeah.
So that was my connection to Ryan Pineda, essentially, right
Yeah.
there.
And what was your mindset like when dropping out of college?
Well, just that, like,
Yeah.
I saw it as a waste of my time and whether mine or somebody else's money if I
Yeah.
didn't know what
So
I
what
was
did you
gonna
do
do,
right after you drop out? Like what was the
find a
what
job.
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean,
What you do? The sales?
no, that oh man, that's the craziest story too.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't been asked about that in a while. So my first job, it's gonna sound super fancy,
Yeah.
but my first like actual, um, you know, job, a 1099.
Yeah.
I was technically a freelancer, quote unquote,
Yeah.
but it was I met this random guy at a Starbucks of all places. Like I was
Yeah.
doing some volunteer work, like I think I was typing or
It's
writing. I
always
don't
in
know.
Starbucks.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting across from each other,
Yeah.
and he keeps turning around. I'm like, what's this weirdo looking at? Because mind you, like
Yeah.
I'm like 18 at the time,
Yeah.
and this guy's
Child molester.
yeah, I don't know, something, right? I'm just keeping my guard up.
Yeah.
But he eventually turns around and he asks me like, "Hey, so what do you do?" And I'm like, "You mean right now or like for work?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Both."
Yeah.
And I tell him, "Well, right now I'm actually doing some volunteer work,
Yeah.
but as far as a job, like I'm actually looking for someone to give me an opportunity."
Mhm.
And that's when he tells me, "Well, I'm looking for an assistant." Turns out this guy is a psychiatrist, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like good psychiatrist?
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
And so we sit down, we talk about roughly what the job would be about, what he expects, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And he tells me, if you're interested, show up at this address on
Mm.
this day, at this time.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And that was it. I get back home and I tell my parents what happened. They're like, I don't know. That sounds kind of weird.
Yeah.
But then I tell them like, yeah, no worries. Like it's a week away. I'll go, check out the place to see if it's a legit place, a
Y
building that like
Yeah.
a
Physical
yeah,
address,
exactly.
legit company.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So I do. I go, I go scout the place, and sure enough, it was at the time it was a nursing facility,
Yeah.
and so I was like, okay, it's a real place. It's fairly public, so if anything goes wrong,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
But I get there, um, I show up in some dress pants and a shirt. I don't remember if I wore a tie that day or not, but
Yeah.
I wanted to go in professional, but like not too over the
Just
top, right?
business casual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so yeah, so I start working with him, and basically my job was to fill out the paperwork that doctors fill out
Yeah.
as far as the patient's medical history, their psychiatric history, any medications that they have, any previous medical like diseases, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it's all things that come in the client's like sheet or folder or whatever at the nurse's station.
Right.
So it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure it out.
Yeah.
But that was my first job. That's I did that for a little over a year, and then yeah, that was my
Yeah.
first job.
So at that point you were like probably like 19, 20.
Right.
So what you do after that? You transition into the wholesaling, not this, but the wholesaling
No,
on the
bro.
flipper. Or you just
I
went straight
wish.
down to like the podcasting. What you do after that?
No, bro. It's kind of a long story, bro. That's why I
Yeah.
was like, "Are you sure we got time?"
Yeah.
But no, from there,
Because how old are you now?
I'm 28, bro.
Oh wow. Yeah, you look younger.
Yeah. Oh,
You look
thank you. I appreciate
25
it.
maybe.
I try to take care of myself.
Yeah.
I've never smoked or taken drugs.
Yeah.
I'll drink occasionally, but I've never
Yeah.
had any problems on that end of things, thankfully. And I also give credit to my parents there for that.
Right.
I assume that's what also helps, you looking a little better.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah, me too. I don't do any type of drugs, but just alcohol.
Yeah.
Socially.
Yeah.
Some tequila.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could take some shots one day, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, so from there I started working at my old middle school of all places.
Yeah.
So I kind of went back to my musical roots, right? And I worked in a middle school setting for about 4 years.
Right.
If it was up to me, like I would go back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
The only problem, it wouldn't take care of my family.
Yeah.
And at the time, like by around the third or fourth year, I had already started dating.
Yeah.
So I knew if I stayed there, like it wasn't going to be enough for me and my future wife.
Right.
So from there, I jumped to construction, like, a typical Mexican. And I did that for about a year.
We all
as
do the
well.
same
I
thing.
know, right? At some point, I think we all have to end up
That's
there.
like this,
Yeah.
blue collar. Let's go.
Exactly. It's just very physical labor, and you're tired at the end of the day, but it paid the bills.
Right.
And so I
What
did
type of
that.
construction was that?
I was in installation.
That's like the hardest. Fiberglass.
Dude, I'd come home
Crazy.
itchy so many times. It was so annoying.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
learned right there. I think that was the first really tough job, like physical
Yeah.
job that I had.
Yeah.
And it really made me appreciate, firstly, the people who do that for a living, like forever. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
kudos to you. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it really takes a lot of not only physical strength, but mental strength to get
Oh,
through
yeah.
the day.
Yeah.
And so,
It's crazy. Yeah.
yeah. But that job specifically, I thank God for the opportunity of having that job, because there I learned the importance of showing up, the importance of thinking outside the box. Uh, a lot of like the professional stuff, like things that a good worker does,
Right.
right? Which I didn't have at the time. Like I was a kid, I was a young kid, and I never really needed to um, take care of anything. So
But at this point, were you married already,
not
or
yet.
no? You were looking into
No.
it.
Yeah,
No?
I was already
Engaged?
dating. I was
Yeah.
dating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I picked up a lot of that stuff on that job.
Yeah.
Um, Now from there, I kept taking on physical jobs. I eventually landed at Cintas. I'm not sure if you heard of them.
Cintas. Sounds like shoes or something.
Yeah, kind of like shoelaces, right?
Okay,
No,
shoelaces. Yeah.
but it's
But more like records or something.
right. So it's this national. I want to say they're international.
Yeah.
Actually, company that they're known for their uniform cleaning business. So they'll go to a manufacturer or whatever facility. If they have lab coats, they'll take the lab coats or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
They take the dirty ones, leave the clean ones, and like that's the major part of their business. But
Is
they
that
do
like a
whole bunch of
cleaners
other
or
stuff.
something
Something like that. Very similar. Kind of
Yeah.
like almost like yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
But specifically for businesses. Like they
Okay.
only deal with businesses.
Yeah, commercial.
Yeah, commercial, exactly. So I was there for 2 years. By this time I was already married, and like this is like 26, 25, 26 now.
Yeah.
That my age. And my goal was to get into the sales team at Cintas,
Right.
because again, going back to Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of the skills that he mentions that are important is sales.
Yeah. You wanted
Unfortunately,
to learn sales.
I wanted to learn sales so bad,
Yeah.
and I thought I had the demeanor for it. I like talking to people.
Right.
Um, I like to figure out what they're about. So
Yeah.
in sales, it's a lot of that. Like, let me
Yeah.
see. First of all, like, I'm not gonna try to sell you this like a la fuerza. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna force it on you.
Yeah.
If what your problem, uh, if your problem and my solution match, like, I'm just gonna help you see that,
Right.
and then you make the decision at the end of the
Yep.
day. I think that's the best way to go about sales.
Yeah.
Now,
Understanding people.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, due to some like inner stuff with some of the people,
Yeah.
it just didn't look like it was gonna happen. Like, I was never gonna make it to the sales team.
Yeah.
Or if I did, it was gonna take a really, really long time for maybe those people to be removed or transfer or whatever, XYZ. So I got tired of waiting.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna go into real estate and figure this out. That didn't go well.
As always, yeah, you have a game plan, and then there's always problems.
Right, always.
Yeah.
I quickly came to figure out. So I quit my job there
Yeah.
September 2022, and I
Well, that was not that
started
long ago.
not that long ago, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how much things can change in just a couple years.
Yeah.
And so from there, I I what's the word? Kind of when you work for free, interned. I
Yeah.
interned for
Intern.
a
Yeah.
wholesale company within the community, with the Ryan Pineda community, and I learned a lot of stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
know a lot of terminology. I know how real estate transaction works. Like, I got the knowledge,
You're right.
but I quickly came to find out that I just didn't have the passion for real estate in itself.
Yeah.
And I came to a hard decision. It's like, am I going to keep going down this route and just push through, or
Go a
am I
different
going to
direction.
just leave it completely and just focus on what I know I'm good at?
Yeah.
And I thank Alex Hermosi for that, actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he talks about that. Like, what is your
Yeah.
one thing? Just focus on that. And until it works, like, don't leave it,
Yeah, that's what he says a lot of times. He's like, a lot of people, they want to throw their eggs in different baskets, but it doesn't work that way. You got to focus on one business, make sure it's blooming, and once you're an expert on it, then you can go on the side. But yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So that's it. That's
yeah,
pretty much like now how we got into this, right? While working or interning with this company, one of the gentlemen there, he asked me if I could help him with the social media because he had seen that I had been posting, right?
yeah,
And that's how that slowly turned into this. Like, it was just helping people within the real estate community with their content,
mhm,
giving them, some of the limited knowledge that I had,
yeah.
or kind of pointers. Um, I mean, and for them it was great because
That was a lot of times he's just taking actions because
yeah,
they never posted a
exactly,
post.
exactly.
Yeah,
So even just being that person to give them that extra push, like, they really appreciated
yeah.
that, and so
And a lot of
that's
times that's all you need. It's just those little steps. A lot of people see, okay, there's 20, 30 steps, and you got to take that first one, and then the second one, and then
exactly
it's all it is.
one step at a time,
Yeah.
always. Yep.
Yep. And so you started Raspberry Lemonade and Valore Studios at the same time, or is it a different timing?
No, so I started Raspberry Lemonade maybe a month after I started posting consistently on social media.
Yeah.
And that just came from, honestly,
Where's the name came from? Because when you said the
oh, yeah.
Raspberry Lemonade,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
It's
what does that
different,
really
right?
mean? Yeah.
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 So, well, two things. One, I love Arnold Palmer's.
Yeah.
So raspberry, tea and lemonade, you mix them together.
Yeah.
I'll still have it from time to time, but also because that's where the creative writing aspect came from.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I give meaning to something as simple as this?
Yeah.
And the idea was like, okay, well, the main concept for the show is talking to people from different career paths or different businesses
Right.
and having them share their experiences in
Yeah.
that career path,
Right.
both the sweet and the sour,
Yeah.
like raspberry lemonade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks, man.
What is your mission statement for Raspberry Lemonade?
Yeah, for Raspberry Lemonade, it's literally the Arnold Palmer of podcasts. We share the sweet and sour stories of industry professionals.
Nice. Cool. What about your core values?
Core values, as far as a podcast or just as
Yeah,
a person?
just a podcast. Because I know, like, I don't know if you have it like other people, or
Yeah.
maybe a lot of people don't even have them. But many times, like for instance, me, I have different core values for different companies,
Oh,
depending on how you want to align people.
okay.
But yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really given it much thought. Up until now, it's been a lot of referrals. So
Mm,
people will say, "Hey, so and so does this. Like, is
yeah,
that interesting to you, or have you had someone on the show from this background?" And I'm like, "Oh, let me check them out."
yeah,
And what I try to do is usually we'll like hop on a Zoom call. If I haven't met them in
yeah.
person, especially like if I've never met them, I like to hop on a Zoom call and get a feel of their
Ye-
vibe, how they are.
yeah,
And if I see that they have my biggest thing, probably humility.
yeah,
If I had to kind of like on the spot choose the core values,
right.
if I see that you know you're humble and even if you've done these amazing things, you're still willing to share and talk about your story, like that's huge for me.
Yeah,
You know, because at the end of the day, we're all humans and we all have the same desires, wants, and needs.
yeah,
So if you come off to me like condescending and like I'm probably not gonna have you on the show. You
yeah,
know, so stuff like that. And at the end of the day, just someone who's willing to have a friendly conversation.
right.
You know, because even if even if we weren't filming on camera and had a mic in front of our faces, like I would still have this conversation with you.
Right.
So if I would still have that conversation with you, then why not just hit record then?
Yeah.
That's kind of my criteria for
I
that.
like it. I love it. Yeah. Any tips that you can give me on podcasting? I know I'm just starting, and any pointers or to anyone that is starting on podcast. I know you're probably already like 30, 40 episodes ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, bro, like we're still learning, bro. There's still a lot to learn. I still learn something new on every single episode.
Yeah.
As far as like the equipment, for example, like making sure everything's you definitely have to I would say this.
Yeah.
If you're just starting out,
Yeah.
don't worry too much about the equipment. Worry about just having a decent camera, you know, visually.
Yeah.
Nowadays, even like an iPhone, honestly,
Yeah.
which I still use actually to this day
Right.
sometimes. And just have a good mic.
Okay.
If you have good audio and good visuals, you're more than halfway there. And
Nice.
then from there, just be genuinely curious to talk to your guest. You know, if there's something that comes up and is like, I wonder how he does X, Y, Z. Just ask him. He's right there. You know,
Yeah.
don't be afraid. Like
Yeah.
that's what the interview is for, because
Yeah.
you're trying to just learn from other people at the end of the day. Like
Yeah.
that's the way I see my show. It's not so much what my audience can learn. It's
Yeah.
like what can I learn? And then
Yeah.
as an after effect, like my audience can also benefit from
Right. Yeah. Same here. I like to provide value, but I also like to learn, even if it's just one little thing.
it. Yeah.
And but yeah, that's amazing, man. How do you find guests, and how do you prepare yourself for an interview, even as a guest
Yeah.
or as a host?
Well, we'll start with the guest only because it's like I said, this is barely my first like business podcast that I've ever been on.
Yeah.
Uh the other two, so I've been in three total right now.
Yeah.
Uh the other two were more on talking about kind of self-help or just personal development type of deal.
Right.
So, I mean, the only way that I could have prepared for those is just really asking them for maybe what questions they have in mind to ask, if they do, or if they were literally just doing an impromptu interview, or at least mentally prepared that way. It's like, okay, they can literally ask me about anything.
Right.
What are my main talking points? At the same time, though, I do this because I try to provide like variety.
Hmm.
I've had people on my show too, which no offense to them, but
Yeah.
they have the same exact talking points for every single podcast they've been on. And because I researched them before, like I
Yeah.
know what they're gonna talk about, and I try to get something new out of them, and they don't give it to me. So it's like, well, this is kind of boring. But
Yeah.
again, to each their own, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as far as preparing to have a guest,
Yeah.
I I don't know, man. Like I had someone in IT, for example, right?
Mhm.
I know very little of how that works or what that world is like. I had no idea. Like, there's so many under IT, of the umbrella of IT.
What
There's
does
so
IT
many
stands for?
information technology. I
Oh,
learned that on that episode.
information technology.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause-
episode 3 of Raspberry Lemonade. The guy said it
yeah, yeah.
because I didn't know either. Yeah, that was the
Yeah, I'm like,
question that
what's
I asked him.
IT? And then I have IT at the office, and I'm like, what's IT? I don't
Uh-huh.
even know what's IT.
Yeah, yeah. So there
Yeah,
you go. Something as simple as that. Like, if you're
yeah,
curious, ask it. You can prepare with a set of questions before. I've done that. And I've also done the opposite where I don't
right.
prepare questions specific to the guest, but I do have an outline. I
Yeah,
have an outline of like 5 or 6 questions that I ask every single guest
yeah.
so that at least the guest knows, like, okay, he's definitely going to ask me this at some point.
Hmm.
Anything in between, the way I like to do most of my shows is whatever happens in the moment.
Yeah,
And I also don't edit my personally, my podcast very
yeah.
much, like, if anything.
Organic.
Yeah, just raw as possible.
That's why I've been doing it. So that's why I was asking. I'm like, am I doing
Yeah.
it right? Like, I usually have like 4 or 5 bullet points,
No, and that's good
and then
too.
I'm writing questions so I don't
Yeah.
forget, and I just go organic. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I need some pointers. And then
No.
as we're going, I'm building up questions and stuff.
Yeah.
I was just interested, like right now on the podcast and about the guest and how do you get them? Do you have any special packet that you give them? Like, because I know I spoke to a few other people.
Yeah.
They don't have a podcast, but they have a lot of ideas, and they're like, maybe you should do something like a package, like do a
Mm,
package and have a set of reels for them, and then have this the footage, the B roll,
yeah.
and then I don't know, man, maybe it's something like that, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I actually learned this from Brendan Boyd.
Hmm.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Um,
Brandon Boyd.
yeah, you know who you are.
Yeah.
He is like he's the podcaster, and he taught me on the podcast itself.
Yeah.
Like, it was very, very meta. How to monetize my own podcast, like,
Yeah.
on the spot.
Wow.
And I'll just share that with you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what he told me is basically, okay, when you have a guest in mind already,
Yeah.
right, you're talking to them,
Yeah.
like, super pumped, for the episode coming
Mhm.
up. Maybe do this like a few days in advance.
Yeah.
And they're like, uh, again, the podcast is completely at no cost to you, like, so don't worry about that.
Mhm.
However, we do offer the VIP package.
Yeah.
To which the person might say, "What's a
Well,
VIP package?"
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I was
So, like,
like,
glad you asked. So then you go into that, and
again, what's the VIP stand for?
whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be
Yeah.
called VIP. It's just
Is
a
it,
package that
I
you
know, but is
offer.
it a very important
Oh,
person?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that's
Okay.
literally what it
Okay.
means.
Okay.
Very important person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for the audience. I know a lot of people don't know, and they're just saying VIP.
Right. Right. Because of Bad Bunny, right?
Yeah.
Puro VIP.
Puro VIP.
But
Yeah.
so the basic package that this guy shared with me on that podcast was, you offer them, or I guess now this is a little bit of what I've added to it. I
Yeah.
offer the guest uh, access to, or a copy of the raw file, like,
Mhm.
completely.
Yeah.
They could do whatever they want with it. So whether it's them or they pass it on to their team, whatever,
Yeah.
it's theirs. 2, I offer them 5 edited reels.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And 3 out of the 5 are collab posts.
Yeah.
So their audience is exposed to mine and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's a mutual thing. On top of that, we
Mhm.
also schedule in a IG live
Mm.
with the guest.
Yep.
So that, again, they're or rather, my audience is exposed to them, and they can ask them questions there live,
Yeah.
or I can kind of ask them some more questions about their industry there live, and it's a good time. Another thing that Brendan Boyd adds
Mhm.
is, if you've built an email list, you could also leverage that and say, hey, I have an email list of so many people,
Mhm.
or I have this amount of followers. Like, I blast the episode to them,
Yeah.
which, again, is just more opportunity for exposure to them.
More attention. Yeah.
Yeah. And all of that, Brendan Boyd, I think on that podcast, he said to offer it for $500.
Yeah.
In my case, I wanted to kick it up a notch.
Yeah.
When, like, now moving forward, because of, like, the high quality production, I think I could probably, my offer would be a little more than that.
Yeah.
But that's the basic idea.
Yeah.
And the first time that I offered it, actually, I only asked for 250
Yeah.
just to test it out.
That's
You know,
super cheap.
so
Yeah, I know
I mean,
people. I spoke to people. They're like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be like $1,500 to do a podcast." Because that's
dang,
why I started my podcast. Also,
yeah,
that's not the reason I started it, but that's the reason I started buying the equipment. Because
mm,
if he said 1,500, I'm like, well, the mics are like only like 400 or 500
right,
bucks,
right,
and the camera is only like 4,000 or 5,000 bucks. So
yeah,
I know it's a little bit more, but it's gonna pay off over time.
exactly,
Especially if you're doing podcasting every week, or let's say you throw 2 to 3 podcasts a week,
yeah,
then that's already paid off. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Even if one out of those three
yeah,
every other week,
yeah,
accepts that package,
yeah,
like you'll pay it off in no time,
yeah,
right? So yeah, definitely like something like your setup right now.
yeah,
I think you could probably charge in the bare minimum for the same stuff that we just talked about, and
yeah,
if you listen back, at least $500, and I
yeah,
think that's a great deal.
yeah,
Most business owners will say yes to that deal.
yeah. So maybe have on the podcast, charge $500, and then give them the reels, the content, the following,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
All of that, right? The podcast itself is free to the guest,
right,
but all this other stuff, the value add,
yeah.
well, of course, that's up to them
The
if they want to
VIP
take it. Yeah, the VIP.
executive package,
Exactly. Yeah.
executive
Hey, see, that
CEO
sounds
without limits,
ooh,
limitless.
the limitless package. I
There
like
it
the
is. Oh,
sound of
there
that.
it is.
There it
Yeah,
is.
limitless
Ahí
package.
está. That's it.
Yeah,
So yeah, and then as far as how I get guests on Raspberry Lemonade, like I said earlier, at the moment it's been a lot of referrals.
mm,
Um, I haven't really. Oh well, don't get me wrong. I have asked a couple people straight
right.
up that are like, "Oh, like I've seen you on my feed. Like I
Yeah.
like what you're doing. Would you ever consider being on a podcast?"
But do you get only CEOs or it's just anyone?
Uh that's a great question.
Because
So
you said about different industries and different types
yeah,
of value, and you spoke about a few not homeowners, business owners.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm leaning more towards the entrepreneur side of things. So it
yeah,
definitely has, you own some sort of business or you're in some sort of industry where you have a business, right?
right,
In the past, though, I have had people, in the medical field. I've had people who are interpreters, people in the fashion industry.
right.
Just the original concept for the show was that,
Variety.
to give, even if someone in the audience only listens to one episode because it was specific to medical field, let's
Yeah,
call it, right?
yeah,
The idea of that episode for that person is thinking as the audience is like, I've been thinking about getting into the medical field.
right,
What does it actually take? What can I expect? Is there anyone out there who could share their story of like how it went for them, like
right.
the good and the bad? Like no,
Yeah, see if it's a good fit for
yeah,
them before they
exactly.
even getting started.
Before making that leap of faith or that
Yeah,
taking that step.
yeah,
So that's the concept that it started with.
yeah,
But I'm definitely kind of moving more towards the business side of things because that's where I'm at now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're growing. You're going to the next
Yeah.
level now.
Yeah.
Yeah, puro gigante.
Yeah. Like Sábado Gigante? No.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's pretty cool, man. So then you started this company, Valore Studios,
Yeah. So it actually started about a year ago as really short videos,
right?
which
How long have you been with this business?
now with like the rebrand
Yeah.
since October.
What was the brand before?
It was really short videos.
Oh, really short
Really
videos.
short
Yeah, you
videos.
said that.
Really spelled REELY.
Yeah,
Like
really,
Instagram Reels.
like real,
Like
really.
real.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, okay.
So I did that started about a year ago, and then recently I teamed up with a buddy of mine who's an amazingly talented cinematographer,
Yeah.
and that's why the rebrand. Like we wanted to give the idea of higher quality production, so
Hmm.
therefore, like really short videos is cool,
Yeah.
but it sounds like wacky and
Really
fun,
short
and
video. It's
yeah,
a little
it's
bit too long, and this Valore
Valore
is
Studios y
studio. It's
vámonos.
just
Yeah, to
simple,
the point.
chingon.
Ay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was the idea behind that.
And what do you do here on this? What's exactly the whole purpose behind it? What's the
Yeah.
mission statement?
The mission, I would say, what it's always been,
Yeah.
uh, helping people tell their stories.
Mm.
At the end of the day, that's what it falls down to.
Hmm.
I think kind of with Raspberry Lemonade too, a
Yeah.
similar concept because what I like to do on the show, which we love to do at Valore, is
Right.
show the people behind the business. You see Alex Hormozy really kind of paved the way for the talking head videos, which
Mm-hmm.
is great.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of people do them and they give a lot of value and it's great.
Yeah.
However, we don't really get to see the behind the scenes a lot.
Yeah.
We don't really get to see the sentimental, emotional side of things
Mm-hmm.
all the time. So we wanted to focus on that,
Mm-hmm.
telling that side of the story. It's like, yeah, like that I have a successful business, but here's what I had to do to get there. Like here's a specific story
Yeah.
that kind of is the reason why I'm here.
I like that
Yeah.
because people think like they think, oh, he has a great business, but they don't know all the little things you have to do it. Like especially from the smaller things to the bigger things
Exactly.
to the problems or
What motivates
what
you?
motivates
Like
you,
it's different for everyone.
how you stay motivated,
Yeah.
right? How you handle your problems.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the approach that we have now at Valore, which at least within the real estate community, I can say I haven't seen anybody else do.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to continue to bring people on board with this idea of like, yeah, share value,
Yeah.
share, information and all that, but also show the stuff that a lot of people don't get to see, which is the stuff behind the scenes.
And I think a lot of people are not doing that. Like that's also something that we try to do. We try to like just as much as we can just record. Like yesterday we were at the mastermind and then we just put the mics on. I just got off the truck and then he mic'd me up and then we just went inside
Yeah.
and we just started talking like for like 3 hours and then I could see some of the things that we're doing wrong, some of the things we're doing right. See, I'm like, okay, I like that phrase. Okay, I don't like that. I like this. So you're kind of okay.
Mhm.
So as you're going, you're learning. You can go back and reference also.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way to self-correct. I
yeah,
think, I mean, say what you want about the guy, but Andrew
right,
Tate, like, that's smart. He does
yeah,
the same thing.
yeah,
He looks back at his podcast recordings and
yep,
he sees like, okay, I stuttered there, or I could have used a better word to describe what I was actually trying to say
yeah,
here. You got the right idea, man. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's man, I did a lot of mistakes, but I did a bunch of things that I really liked. Okay, I'm gonna continue doing this, but not that, and so yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's exactly how it is.
Yeah. So anyway, so how long have you been with this business? About a couple years?
So again, it started as really short videos, literally a year ago, bro.
Wow.
Like exactly almost to the date, I
Yeah.
want to say. To the point, what's today? Like the 12th,
Yeah.
13th, something like
So
that.
it's the 12th
Yeah, I don't know.
because tomorrow is my son's car payment. The
Oh,
13th. Because I told
that's
him,
how you know.
you gotta pay your car. It's only $250, but you don't get that late fee.
Yeah. No, it's those late
Y
fees
luego
will
va a
get
estar
you.
pidiendo.
Right? Yeah, that's funny. Like, that's how I know the date. That's hilarious.
Yeah. 'Cause we don't even know what day is it nowadays.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, you lose track of time so easily.
like, 'cause I work Monday through Sundays. So I
Mhm.
don't even know if it's a Monday or a Friday. I know a lot of people say es viernes y el cuerpo lo sabe. Well, I don't
It's
know.
like,
I don't
well-
even know what day it is. For me, Monday is Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
so
yeah, I really like Andrew Tate. Maybe not like I agree with a lot of things he say.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'd say,
Um,
I mean, I can see why he's controversial nowadays.
Yeah,
Some of the things that he says, he definitely says on purpose to tick people off.
yeah.
But, he's not crazy.
He's not crazy.
He's not
He's
crazy.
a super
He's
smart
a very smart
human
guy.
being. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say that about
Yeah.
him. So yeah, it's literally like year old, man.
Yeah.
And
So what do you do in Valore Studios?
my current
Yeah.
I guess
What
position,
exactly?
you could say?
What exactly? Because you're the founder, right?
Yeah, correct.
So what's exactly? You're the only owner, or you partner with this?
We're in the
cinematic-
middle of actually kind of figuring that out.
Yeah.
Funny enough, because we never had anything clear,
Right.
like set expectations or anything in writing, which don't do it, guys.
Yeah.
I learned that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
should always have something in writing, just to at least to reference back if you need to.
Everything
So-
has to be in paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of doing that. We're actually, funny enough, right after we finish recording, we're gonna have that conversation.
Nice.
I'm hoping it goes well. I really want him to continue to, help Valore, because
Yeah.
it was something that came kind of from both of us, at least like the idea of what Valore would stand for.
Yeah.
But as far as, who's in charge of doing what, that was never really clear. And
And I can relate.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'm doing this, and this. You're taking care of this, great. But if we're gonna be like a true partnership, I need you to pick up some more stuff,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's all I'll say about that because I don't want to put anyone,
Yeah.
on blast or make it
100%.
sound, bad. But so funny that you
Yeah.
bring that up because that's where we're at right now. But yes, founder, currently basically the sales acquisitions guy, marketing guy, face of the company.
But you have a good faith.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
You got me on a weird transition because I just started growing out the beard, but we'll see how it looks in a month or so.
With the
Yeah.
goatee.
And we'll do the Tony Stark.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But I also overlook the projects, make sure that we're staying on track with deadlines, things like that. I take all the calls
Yeah.
for onboarding and the sales calls. So I know I do a lot, and so
You have multiple hats.
yeah, you have to, right, when you're
Yeah.
starting off.
You're like
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, también.
Like when I started, cuando empecé, I had like 10 hats. 10
man.
hats. Now I have like 3.
Oh, that is better.
It's the overwhelm, but I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you come up with this name, Valore?
Valore.
I don't know if we spoke about it, but yeah.
I'm not sure if
Maybe
we
behind
touched
the
on it
scenes.
yet.
Yeah.
I have to look back at the text messages because we were trying to, with this guy.
Is this French?
No, it's Italian.
Oh, Italian. Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah. I actually that works out great because and in a previous venture.
Do you went to Italy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So in a previous venture, a little sidetrack real quick, I wanted to start a custom type business.
Yeah.
Long story short, didn't work out. Now looking back, I understand why.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of the skills that I have now.
Mm.
I would love to revisit at some point. But anyways, that's my connection to Italy.
Yeah.
And when trying to come up with a name for now what's Valore Studios, I was like, okay, it's got to be something like powerful, triumphant.
Yeah.
That when you're with us, like you feel empowered.
Mm-hmm.
And the word valor, like that
Valor.
literally means courage,
Yeah.
right? It came to mind. I was like, what about something like
because there's 2 types of
valor?
valores, just to clear, like valore and value, right?
Exactly.
So, but it's more like being brave.
Yes.
Braveness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so after looking up what it meant, and I don't remember if it was me or my buddy that looked at the Italian version of it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it means. That's what we stand for.
Yeah.
And it was just like an aha moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. We're Valore Studios.
Nice. It's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's catchy.
Yeah. And, should we decide to go into film, like longer format filmmaking in the future? We already got the studios there.
Yeah.
We kind of pivot from short form to longer form. And I think the long-term goal, at least personally, and I know that my buddies expressed a desire for that.
Yeah.
Is for example, we'll put you as an example.
Right.
Jonathan Rodriguez, what's his story and how can we put that on a film? Like make it either a short film or even heck a 1 to 2 hour that tells his story from like where he started to where he's at. I think literally having people's stories on the big screen is a goal I don't know how far ahead, but definitely down the line that we would love to just focus on that.
Yeah. So you're going to put me on AMC theaters?
No, bro. You're going to be in all the Cinépolis. Come on, bro.
Cinépolis. Yeah. That's funny. So what is your main focus on Valore?
Right now, just that. Client acquisitions, really.
Yeah.
If I had to boil it down to the biggest role that I have is client acquisitions.
Yeah.
Marketing, Valore, just...
How do you market yourself?
What we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Telling people about it. Funny enough, so I'll do Lyft every once in a while near USC.
Yeah.
Because there's a film school at USC right
there.
Yeah. And every once in a while, I'll run into these film students and naturally the conversation goes into that direction. Because one of the easy
Yeah.
questions I could ask is like, "So you're a student at USC?" Like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, cool. What are you studying for?"
Yeah.
And then they'll tell me, "Oh, I'm in film." I'm like, "Well, oh, interesting. I just started a video production company."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, really?" And like, "Yeah." So I've made a lot of
Do you want
connections
to
that
know
way.
more about it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so super underrated. Like if
Yeah.
you're trying to network with people,
Yeah.
do lift people. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
especially
On
in
your free
in
time,
yeah, especially in areas where there's big business. Like
Yeah.
do it there. Yeah. You'll run into some very interesting people, but also some people that who can essentially change your life.
Right.
And then obviously on social media as well, we post things. We post when we're filming with people. We post sometimes behind the scenes, or some blooper reels sometimes,
Yeah.
stuff like that. We've done some paid ads as well. That's actually how we got our first handful of leads now as Valore.
Yeah.
We put together a video and we put money behind it to push it out to the right people.
Nice. How big is your team?
At the moment, it's two of us.
Okay.
It's two of us who are like definitely always there. I have a buddy who has helped me with filming in the past too, who kind of like, hey, like I need an extra hand. He'll,
Yeah.
he'll come through. We'll pay him. Someone who I met through Lyft, who
Yeah.
is also likes filming, who has also helped me. So uh, the goal is to grow the editing team. Actually, right now,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm actually trying to figure that out. If I should grow the editing team or grow the videographer team and just outsource the editing team.
Yeah.
Which now that I'm saying it out
I
loud,
think
that's
that makes
probably
more
where I'm gonna
sense.
go.
Yeah,
That's
because
probably what I'm gonna do.
I've been talking to a lot of people, especially because I've been posting, like you said, every single day in all the platforms.
Yeah.
And it's getting expensive. And
Mhm.
the way we were trying to go, it's 6 reels a day.
Ooh, that's a
Imagine,
lot.
yeah, imagine like posting in 6 different platforms. Like takes a lot of time and also the editing. So
Right.
we're trying to slowly increase maybe 2 posts, and once we get to like 3 or 4 posts, maybe outsource it to like India,
Mhm.
Philippines, or
Mhm.
even Ecuador. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were talking to this guy that he might have some connections, and I think they're paying like $700,
A month?
and yeah, and they're doing
That's
all the
really good.
editing from scratch. All
That's
they do
super
is
good.
just check and then send it back
Nice.
to revisions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. And right now, with where we're at right now, we're very close.
Yeah,
We're very close to closing a very good kind of, I guess you could call it a joint venture
yeah,
with a real estate developer based out in OC.
yeah,
And he put together a course, so kind of similar like to the Ryan Pineda thing, where he's got his community and all that. He's building something
right,
like that as well. Well, I don't want to compare it, like, but he says he's going to be better, and I see that
yeah.
a lot of the stuff that he's offering is definitely on a higher level.
It has to drive. Yeah,
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 and so the overall agreement, or yeah, I guess you could call it that, is we would be under the umbrella of his course
yeah.
as the in-house media team.
Mm,
Every I think either he calls them all-stars, every all-star student would have access to us as the
hmm.
in-house media team for I think we agreed to like 8 videos
Yeah,
as like a little taste, right?
yeah,
Automatically. So we would get a cut of the pie of whatever they paid to get into the program automatically. They would get 8 videos, and then if they want more, then at that point we could take them on as a client. So we're expecting an influx
yep,
of new business. And yeah, now thank you for bringing it up, because literally we're figuring this out
yeah.
on the spot
Yeah.
live. I think I'm gonna have to outsource the editing to keep up with the demand.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and then now that we're talking about, I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't do 6 reels. Maybe I should just do 2 high quality reels.
Yes.
Because you're saying,
Look,
okay, it took me 1 hour,
yeah,
or no, 5 hours. You said 5 hours to
yeah.
do the
To do
all the editing,
the
high
coffee
quality
one,
video.
the
Yeah.
coffee video,
So
yeah.
maybe we just focus on the hook.
Mhm.
We focus on the hook, those 3 seconds, and the pain, the solution, a little bit of the story, do a little bit of the stats, and then we do the CTA or
Yeah,
irresistible offer. But
yeah.
really focus on the audience, the niche, the demographics, the whole thing. Maybe we're going that route. Who knows? Like
I'm gonna be a
one
little
or two.
biased here,
Yeah.
because obviously that's what we stand for at Valore on the quality side.
Yeah.
But
What do you think about that? Anyways, yeah.
I would definitely go that route.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're offering our
Yeah.
clients. A lot of them at first are like, "Oh, but so and so offers me so many videos for
Yeah.
this amount." And it's like, well, yeah, but how many of those are actually like cookie cutter?
Yeah.
Do you want all your videos to look exactly the same? Do you want them to look like everyone else out there?
Mm-hmm.
By all means.
Yeah.
But if you want to put something together that's going to tug at the heartstrings, like,
Mm-hmm.
it takes time.
Yeah.
To be able to strategically and specifically
Mm-hmm.
be able to piece that together.
Yeah.
It just does. Quality things take time to make in any industry.
Yeah.
You can find a way to scale it, great, without taking
Mhm.
away the quality, but chances are, especially in the beginning, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna revisit that and see.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good route to go
Yeah.
to. I mean, I've kept up with a lot of the people who have connections with Instagram, and a
Yeah.
lot of them are saying that, if you're gonna post reels, post between, I think, what was it, like 3 to 5 now a week.
Right.
So the quantity has gone down, way down,
Oh yeah.
according to what they're saying. I don't know how accurate it is, but
So
you know,
post 3 to 5 posts.
that's what they're
a
saying
day.
now.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, compared to these people that post, I don't even know how to do it, like 10 times a day,
Yeah, that's so
like,
many. Yeah.
it's a lot,
Yeah.
So it's almost even more manageable that way. Like,
Y-
you only have to focus on a certain amount, but make them good.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think we're gonna start focusing also like on the camera video and the videos to be maybe shorter but more catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people are gonna share.
Yeah, we're just learning as we're going. It's
Yeah,
just
and
like
that's fine. So
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
okay,
I started posting one a day.
there you
Before I
go.
was posting once every, I don't know, couple 6 months, couple months.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we're progressing as we're going.
right, exactly. I will just say this as a caveat.
Yeah.
Maybe if you are just starting fresh, like you've never posted,
Mm-hmm.
to get over that learning curve, definitely do what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Post as much as you can for as long as you can, because yes, that's how you're gonna learn to make a good video.
Right.
But if you're already at a point where you've done that,
Mm-hmm.
then now it's time to look at the audience and say, okay, what do they actually want?
Mm-hmm.
What's actually going to be helpful to them
Mm-hmm.
that I can offer them? Sometimes it's something as simple as, like, you know what? I want to be real with you guys. It's been a hard week, and this is just a message for anyone who's having a hard week.
Yeah.
You got this, and that's it. Like, that's the whole video.
Yeah.
But people are going to relate to that. People are going to appreciate that
Yeah.
because you're being very real with them.
Being real. Like no bullshit.
Yeah,
Just stay real.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. People appreciate authenticity over anything.
Yeah.
And I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, because sometimes we want to be like someone we're not, and that's not authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people catch on.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
after a while, a friend of mine said fairly recently, he's like, if you listen to someone long enough, they'll tell you who you are, or who they are, rather.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll slip up. They'll, mention a little thing here that's like, but eventually, like, it comes out. So just be you.
Yeah.
Be real with where you're at in life, and anything outside of that is just exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it. Do you want to say or give out any advice? Because you're a professional studio maker, cinematic, podcaster. Like any advice that would help anyone, just anything small, doesn't have to be anything big. Anything you think is gonna help someone, or any book or something, any
Sure.
business insight, just for the audience.
Sure.
Yeah.
This one's gonna go out to not the business owner. This is gonna go out to basically Levi from 3 years ago.
Okay.
So the person who's in that rut of, like, feeling like they're in a spot where their abilities aren't, being used the best way. that they think they could do more, but for whatever reason, something's holding them back. This is going to be for them. It's time to change your circle. If you change the people who you're around, whether that's physically or even online,
Yeah.
your mentality starts to change and you start doing things like the people you're trying to become, like automatically.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you heard that very well known phrase of, you are the 5 people you hang out with most or
Surrounded
something like
with.
that.
Yeah.
Or and there's refranes in Spanish too, like
Yeah.
el que anda con lobos, aullarse aprende.
Exacto. Sí.
Same idea. If you're in a situation, maybe it's family, maybe it's at work, where they're not thinking bigger or they're not thinking even positive,
Yeah.
that's going to affect you. Sooner or later, it's going to affect you. So I would say that. So join a community of some sort of something that you want to do, and eventually you're gonna end up doing that thing because it's inevitable.
Yeah, so I love it. Join a community that is going to keep you accountable,
There you
that is
go.
going to ask you for feedback every time you see them. And whatever you say, you have to do, man. So, yeah, man,
That's it.
keep yourself accountable and get yourself surrounded with like minded people, man. I love it, man. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you, the audience, for tuning in. Limitless CEO Podcast. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Thank you, man.